and all to come. We are really excited today. Professional mortgage women. I mean, we all know this has been a different year for everyone. And so we started going virtual with our top producer series during the summer. And we are really excited today because we have our panelist is Frankie D Francesco from Apex Home Loans, and she's an industry legend. So we've been working on getting her on a panel for a while. And thank you so much for joining us, Frankie. And also, we have Colleen Palmer, and she is definitely made a huge impact on our industry. And she's been a service leader for us, and most recently served as the president of Maryland Mortgage Bankers and Brokers Association. But a lot of you may know her in other capacities as well. So thank you, Colleen, and thank you, Frankie, for agreeing to join us today. Before we start, I did want to kick off and just say, hey, professional mortgage women, what we're all about. We're an inclusive organization. We're trying to make an impact in the mortgage industry by fostering diversity, personal and professional growth through education, development, and networking events, and creating powerful partnerships throughout the industry associations. So what we would like to ask for you all is just to kind of go to mmBBA.org and click on the Professional Mortgage Women link. It's underneath the committees. And you can type in your information and join, and also get peers in the industry to join and get updates on our events, because we do have a outline of events scheduled for you. I'm just going to highlight a couple, and then we will start our session today. So coming up in January, we are really excited to partner with the Young Mortgage Professionals. And so what we're going to do is a Rising Star event. And so we're going to get to hear from some people that haven't been in the industry as long, but are doing a bang up job. So they are looking to be the Frankies in the future. So we want you to hear from them and how they're approaching, their pipelines and how they're growing and developing and kind of doing it their way, because we expect it to be a little bit different than what you might hear today. So we have 3 superstars that have agreed to join us that day. And that will be January the 14th. So you can go ahead and mark your first event for 2021 in your calendar and look for us to send you an invite to that event. Also, we have a awesome event coming up, and I want all of you all to attend this event. It's on April the 27th. We are doing at the MARC conference, which is the Mid-Atlantic Regional Conference. So that's going to be taking kind of DC, Northern Virginia, and Maryland all together. We are having a conference at MGM in April. So April 27th, Professional Mortgage Women has a speaker, and she is a super dynamic speaker. Everyone I've talked to, and even the corporations that report on her website, her name is Karen Rockin. They all have so much stuff to say about how she changed them personally in their lives. So she's going to come talk to us about living our purpose. So I want you all to mark down April 27th and plan to spend that afternoon with professional mortgage women out at MGM, and it will be worth your time. With that said, I am going to hand it over to Colleen. So Colleen, you now have the reins for our fireside chat.
Thank you, Crystal. Very nice job. I don't need to do too many plugs. You did a fine job at that. We do have some other wellness series coming through MMBBA. I believe it's through the Education Committee. With everybody being so busy, we did put that off. It was supposed to be this month, but some pretty interesting people speaking, doctors, chiropractors, things of that nature, because obviously we all know in this hugely busy times in our industry, we're not necessarily always taking the time to put ourselves as a priority and make sure that we have, our wellness in check. So we do have that coming out to you as well. So look at the same website for that. It may be under the education, or it may just be under events, but definitely look for that to be coming too. But welcome today. I just want to first say that we will be recording this because we are now putting a lot of the information that we've done prior to this and moving forward, we're putting on the website so that you can use it as a resource for a later date. So if you missed this, or you have a friend that didn't get to see it, or you want to share it or reference back, if we're that entertaining, you may do so at a future date. So just letting you know, you also will be muted probably until the end or somewhere along the line. We will break for and unmute you to ask any questions. You can put questions in the chat box if you'd like, but if you want to just hold them, at the end we'll allow you to go ahead and speak out and ask those questions to Frankie or even myself if you have something. So with that said, we'll get started. Welcome, Frankie. I just met Frankie today. It's Frankie D Francesco. She is a vice president of residential lending at Apex Home Loans here in Rockville, Maryland. I'm super excited to meet her and spend this time with her. I don't know Frankie, or I know of her, but I don't know her personally, and I'm vibing her already. So I kind of like that. We just seem to have connected in just the few minutes that we've spent together this morning. Yeah, so I'm excited to welcome. Let me give you a little bit of background. I'm not going to go through a whole bio. I truthfully am going to read a little just because I, like you all, are very busy in this industry. So I did not memorize this last night. So Frankie has about 23 years experience in the mortgage industry in the Washington, D.C. area. It was named the Mortgage Executive Magazine's 1% of mortgage bankers in the country for 3 years running, probably more because this is outdated, but she's obviously a superstar and a leader and a huge originator, and that's why we brought her here today. So maybe you can learn some tricks, if nothing else, just some encouragement of what you're doing is right. And you know, it's just good to, I think in this particular time, just hear from other people and see how we're all working in this different environment that we are in today. So with that said, I'm going to kick it off, just kind of asking Frankie her why, what ticks and makes her motivated to get up every day and do this, because this is a crazy industry. So what makes that work for you?
Well, first of all, Colleen, thank you all so much. It's an honor to be here. I also want to put a plug out there because I don't think you can see this, but we're in a really safe environment here today. We've got the door open. We bought a piece of plexiglass. We've been wearing our masks up until it was time to film. So I just want everybody to feel really comfortable because these are really trying times. And so again, thank you for that opportunity. And in the beginning of the industry, when people asked me my why, I didn't know it. I'm just going to be really honest. I really didn't know why I was doing this. I knew that I liked numbers. I knew that I liked people, but there had to be something more to it. And it actually happened without me knowing it. And then after this event happened that I'm going to share with you, it's when I realized what my why was. And I think it's kind of funny, and I think it's a really good story. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I like telling it. So it was about 20 years ago. I'm going to date myself. I was at a Duran Duran concert. I love Duran Duran. And I was one of those lucky people to go backstage to an after party. And for those of you who know this band, there's a lead singer, his name is Simon Le Bon, and there's another really popular guy named Nick Rhodes. And that's who I had my crush on. So I'm in this very intimate backstage party, and it's me and the members of Duran Duran and maybe 5 other people. And we're hanging out and we're in this room. And for whatever reason, Nick Rhodes and I just start talking. And I'm thinking, is this real? Is this happening to me? Like, I had him pinned on my walls. Like, this is very exciting. I fast forward to say that as we're talking, he actually asks me what I do for a living. And I say, well, I'm actually a loan originator. And in the perfect British accent, he says, well, I imagine that's quite rewarding. And out of nowhere, I just bust out laughing. I'm thinking to myself, how is this man who has traveled the world over, met the Queen, been to unbelievable countless parties, and been on stages in front of thousands, if not millions of people, actually saying to me right now that my job is rewarding? And that's when I knew that in a nutshell, was my why. Mm-hmm. It was rewarding on so many levels. It was rewarding because I was helping people. It was rewarding because I was getting compensated for it. It was rewarding because I loved it and I loved meeting new people. And at the end, it was so rewarding knowing that the place that people felt the safest and the most secure, their home, I was helping them realize that dream. So for me, getting to my why is a kind of weird story, but every day that I think it's a little challenging, I always try to remember that that's my why, that it's rewarding in a nutshell. So it's a
great answer and it's a great story. I think the testimony to that is, I think sometimes we lose sight that we really aren't doing something for people that is likely their single largest, purchase in their lifetime. And it impacts them, like you said, it's their home, it's their security, it's where they raise their families, it's so many things, and we lose sight of that when we're battling getting a loan underwritten or trying to get to the closing table on time. I personally take it personally. I lose sleep when things don't go the way planned, because I think about those people when it doesn't happen on the Friday and they have the weekend to wait. And so it is personal. And I think we kind of don't always appreciate what we do for a living. You know, it's kind of cool that we get to do this.
It really is. And more so now than ever. It's so important because COVID is serious and people are at their homes.
Mhm.
And you know, they're talking more and more with each other and with other people and with family and with friends. And we've all learned this new way of communicating, which was actually the old way, but we're back to it. And I think, you know, the whole idea of seeing this reward at the end is just so well worth it. And I'm sure you've been doing this a long time too. So
Yep. No, I agree. I think it's like a perfect storm right now. So you have, you know, COVID, which is the negative aspect of it, but the positive is exactly what Frankie's speaking of. You know, more family time, and we're in a position. How lucky are we as mortgage folks, whatever your capacity is, whoever's watching, that you get to be a part of a time where it's not necessarily something we've chosen, and we certainly all hope to get out of jail cards at some point in juncture, but we get to be a part of people kind of recreating their homes. You hear it all the time. People are cashing out to add a pool or an extra bedroom. People are rate term refinancing, you know, to make it more affordable so they can do other things that with their family, like vacations in a big house in Duck, which is what I'm doing next year, and purchasing maybe a larger home because you're spending more time in it. So that's why we have the you know, kind of historic highs in mortgage lending, and we're all kind of crazy and tired and working hard. But it's invigorating to me, and I kind of feed off of that. And I'm sure you do too, people that have our personality. So hopefully you guys are, you know, you take the time to take care of yourself, but also take the time to appreciate that what we're doing is a good thing. And, you know, appreciate that. Who knows how long this ride will be? We all know this is a cyclical business, but we're going to enjoy the ride for at least this particular one, right?
And this is a bumpy one.
It is a little bumpy. It's a little bumpy. So we got your why. Let's talk a little bit about your partners and your relationships. So obviously everybody has, I deal with brokers and bankers, and they all have a different avenue of getting their business, whether it's referral business, partnerships, financial planners, realtors. Let's ask Frankie a little bit about how you get your business.
So I always think I have a story behind everything. And mine will also go back before this industry. 23 years ago, I was in the nightclub industry, and I met a lot of realtors. They would come into the bar and they trusted me. I was their bartender. I was a friendly ear. And so my realtor business is my largest book of business. And, you know, one thing I would say when you're new to the business or been at it for a long time, find out what your good group is, where it works for you. For me, it was an easy transition for realtors. And I would say, again, outside of repeat clients, which is another huge aspect of my business, the realtor partners for me is a commonality. We often like the same things. When we go out together, we're social. We're actually friends outside of the industry. Some of us, that is, of course. But in general, for me, those realtor partnerships are deep. There's a level of something more than just business when they refer me, and in the way that they refer me, that makes me feel so very special. I don't feel like it's me and about 6 other names. I feel really a nice handoff. I've been able to help often with scripting. I just want to also give a shout out for a minute for Apex,
of course.
Because our owners have done such an amazing job helping us grow and learning different styles on what we're good at. And in my case, scripting was a huge part of me understanding a better way to get my referrals to refer me in the way that would work for me. If you just say, hey, this is Frankie and she's going to help you with your loan, that's not really a high trust transfer.
Sure.
It's also not something that's going to resonate with people. It sounds like, you know, I just pulled this out of my back pocket, give them a call. Instead, my realtors, when I get that referral, it's my bio sometimes. Sometimes it's my click on here to see my social survey score. A lot of times it's a little story about how I do their own personal financing or about a transaction. So my realtors have gotten through queues. And by the way, I pay that forward. I also, when referring an agent, make sure that I don't just say, call Joe Smith here. He's going to take good care of you. He knows Annapolis.
Mm-hmm.
It's longer than that. It's deeper than that. And when you figure out who your referral partners are going to be, go that extra step to figure out how you want to be referred and how you want them to refer you, so that in turn, on how you want and how they would wish to be referred as well, so that you've got a great balance in that. And the same for repeat clients. Most of my repeat clients already knock it out of the park, but it's so lovely when they copy themselves on the email with the introduction and say something like, she's like family. I mean,
yeah, that's the best. How better can you say
how
it
can
than
you
that?
get worse than that? I mean, unless you don't like your mother-in-law. Like, other than that, like, I think you're batting 1,000 there.
No, that's awesome.
So,
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. I think that's really important to have something that basically creates who you are when you're
absolutely
using that. I heard a rumor that you have some branding and in the form of maybe some 3 C's or something that probably keeps it readily available to you in your memory bank, but maybe we could share that with them. That might work for them as well.
It might, and feel free. I mean, none of these ideas are probably original, but this one did come from being a jeweler. So I know I talked about the nightclub industry, but my very, very first career was my father had a jewelry store growing up. At about 16 years old, I sold mood rings from my locker. So I'm just starting out again, I want to make sure everybody knows that, like, I'm just a human. I put my pants on one leg at a time like everybody else. And I took little tricks of the trade. And my father educated me very early on the 4 C's of diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
And I love diamonds. I love jewelry. Again, it was a product, just like I now am selling money, which is hard to make attractive. Jewelry was easy to make attractive. But then I thought, am I selling money? Is that what mortgages are? Or are they a commitment to someone? They're a commitment to someone. Is the other part of it care? Yeah, it's definitely care and concern. And then the last one was clarity. And the clarity part is the most important piece, especially in these trying times when it's harder to get loans approved that are self-employed. New guidelines come out. Appraisers are taking longer, different things.
COVID overlays.
Right. COVID overlays, which is another C, by the way. So maybe we have to change it to 5 C's. Let's hope we can drop off the COVID C real soon. But those 4 C's in diamonds for cut, clarity, carat, weight, and I don't remember the last C now. Anyway, but back to mortgages. It's that care and concern right out the gate when I'm talking to someone that makes them feel very comfortable. I want to let them know that I know your situation is unique to you. I'm going to listen always first, and I'm just going to let them tell me everything that they need to tell me. I don't need to rush them. It's not going to be a long conversation. They're not going to tell me about every child they've given birth to. It's just about hearing their why, and then being really caring about that, repeating it back to them, making sure that your commitment to them is clearly stated. Like, thank you for sharing all that really personal information with me. Now I'm going to give you my commitment on why it's okay that, like, I hear what you said and I'm committed in helping you get to your goal of whether it be save money or buy your vacation home, whatever it is. And then the clarity piece, which again is this crucial piece right now. And why I think that last C, I know I said 3 C's earlier, but I'm adding a 4th C in for clarity, because letting people know upfront as often as possible what this process looks like every time the market shifts or changes is key and paramount. Because, someone might have gone through a refinance 2 years ago and remembered that it was the simplest thing they'd ever done. And now doing it, it's not that simple because of timing, because of how busy we all are. And so if you're clear up front with those expectations, I think you're going to win a lot of customers with those.
Undeniable. Absolutely. I think the biggest problem right now is that, I mean, I can't criticize anybody, but I will say, if I could offer a suggestion for upping your game as far as in this environment, it's expectation 100%, because the people, some people have gone through transactions, but let's be honest, today's transaction is different than 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, especially in COVID times. But then you also have, if it was a refinance, now it's a purchase, that's different as well. The time frame, what the expectation is, updating everything time and time again. I think that's the number one biggest irritation to the borrowers. But if you're meeting with them and you set that expectation up front, hey, this is going to be a little bumpy. I'm going to drive you crazy and ask you for the same thing, maybe multiple times, especially if you can get a loan done in 30 days. If you're waiting 45 days or even 60 days, you're updating things. It can be annoying to a borrower who doesn't know. So I think if you're spending the time to set that expectation up front, that's what I do in my trainings. That's one of my biggest bullet points, set the expectation up front, because if you oversell, which is really easy to do in sales, we're all guilty of it. I mean, we're salespeople, right? But if you oversell too much and set that expectation, it's just going to be a breeze and super easy. It's really just creating just disappointment. That's just what it is. It's disappointing to the borrowers. So just tell them, it's not easy, but also you're not selling them a pack of gum. You're selling them potentially anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million loan. So there's going to be responsibility to get that, that available to you. So expectation is huge. So I appreciate that you brought that up. That's a really, really good one.
Yeah, I think it's really key.
Yep. So there's, I think you use like a questionnaire or something. Do you typically meet your borrowers face to face, or do you do everything over the phone, or how do you usually do that?
So, the options are right. Their options are what the customer requires and needs. Right now, I'm not meeting people in person because of COVID. That's just not going to happen for me. But normally, if someone feels comfortable, first-time home buyer says that they'd like to come into the office, I welcome that. Even if I was planning on being home that day, I'm going to get dressed and show up. And even if that loan is the first-time home buyer for an $80,000 loan, I'm here and I'm ready to help them because they want a home. They deserve a home if they qualify. And that's what our job is to do. So every different application, but most of the time it's by phone.
Mm-hmm.
Often it's through the internet. A lot of people like the internet. I have my own website. I think it's very user friendly. It filters right into Encompass. So it's.
Are they filling it out prior to, or are you asking the question? So I'm thinking like old school traditional, go through the 1003, or no, they're filling out like a questionnaire.
They can actually fill it out the 1003 right online, and then we will set up a follow-up call. So never are you going to just take the application and then just go right into a locked loan. We're always going to have a phone call. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be a communication. I have to tell you, I'm very guilty of not doing enough video chat, which I know is on my chopping block for next week because I'm a little afraid of it because I just, I don't know. I just not something I've done for 23 years, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to get with the rest of the
I'm going to suggest everybody that's on this call, if you're in sales side, to do that. We, Caliber, which is where I work, invested in that for our account executives, and it's called Bomb Bomb. And we're doing it now, and I'm not terribly shy, so it wasn't too difficult for me. But you got to get used to it. It's weird. You're talking to yourself, right? So I think that's the next phase of this whole Zoom, working from home. Let's be honest, COVID will probably get a vaccine and we'll all be able to get out and about at some point in juncture, but we probably will always have some of this capacity. It'll be less, be more at work home time, less, commuting, and a lot of this time where we can spend. And actually, I think we do without commuting. I know I'm more productive. I want to be in front of my brokers. I miss them terribly, but it is nice to get that connection. I have a broker. I don't think he's on here, but if he is, named Sean Williams, and he sent me the first bond. What a great tool. I mean, I literally felt like I was having coffee with him. I randomly opened up an email and it was him right there saying, hey, I just want to let you know, I didn't send you any loans the last 2 weeks, but I'm still thinking about you. You and Dina, which is my assistant, do a great job. And I'm really pleased with your service. I just had a couple of whatever type of loan that maybe wasn't in my forte or my wheelhouse at the moment. But I just want to know I was thinking about you. That's really cool. What a great tool, right?
A great tool.
Do you use that with your realtor base?
In the Zoom with realtors in the beginning. I was doing a lot of Zoom realtor sessions, which was great. Everybody, I said, please, let's all just get up. No need to get ready for the day. Or my mom would say, get fixed. Just show up, just be there. And let everybody again see that we're all humans going through this very trying time together.
Yep.
Again, I think that goes a much longer way than trying to put on any kind of a facade or anything like that takes people back we are down, in my opinion, right now to the most human elements of who we are as individual people right now. And we are able to do that and show each other our human side, not just our professional side. Our dog might be in the background. I often pick up my dog.
Oh yeah, it's reality.
And, kiss him a lot, right on camera in front of everybody.
Amazon Prime, ding,
right?
ding. You're like,
Exactly, because I feel like that is who I am. That is what's happening in my home today. And I'm just letting you know, and then vice versa, they might drink a smoothie. Hey, what's in your smoothie today? And I mean, it's bringing that human element to everything
I actually
right now.
love that about it. That part I really
That
like.
part is the best part about this new way to communicate, and see somebody and not, be actually out physically with them. And, who knows? I think maybe we're even diving deeper with people.
I think so.
And I think that's a really
You're getting
nice
a little
piece.
piece of their personal life. I happen to live on the water, which trust me, took a lifetime to get there, but people always see that in the background and they're like, wait, do you live on the water? So it's great conversation. Amanda, who's our executive director at MMBBA that's on this, is she's related to me. So I have my niece sometimes will just come up on her lap during the call. And I love that. But I mean, you don't want a dog barking for 20 minutes. So don't get carried away. You definitely want to put that aside. But those human normal elements of reality, I think just expose us to being human beings. And I think people actually appreciate that. And if they don't, you're going to have your rigid people and go back to your sales training. If you're not new or you haven't been through this, we've all been through, most salespeople, where you're selling to those personality types. So if you have somebody who's very, very type A and not really tolerant to that kind of stuff, obviously you're going to minimize that. But most people want to get to know you and want to know the people they're doing business with.
And you have to know your audience. And I think, for a lot of us that have been at this, we know when the conversation needs to be different than a face-to-face. The other one I will tell you is huge right now is the icebreaker of talking to people who have kids at home in school. Because my favorite part is when I'm on a Zoom with someone or, even my referral partners, and, out comes a 4-year-old, going, who's that now on there? And it's this unbelievably icebreaker where then they put them on their lap and they introduce you. This is mommy's mortgage banker. She's going to save us some money. And I'm like, yay, we're going to save money, more toys, whatever the case might be, different ways to just keep connecting on that.
But you just built rapport with your customer,
just
in that instance.
Instant trust, instantly.
I don't know why that brought me. I'm going to digress, but it's okay because we're all here just to be honest and have fun. But I was picked for a career day at school when my children were small because somebody didn't show up, and they asked me if I would do it for the kindergartners. I'm a mortgage banker for kindergartners, and I knew the night before. So I went and got Monopoly out and took the little houses, and when I went in, I gave the kids the money, and I basically said, you're going to buy this house with your money, but the money you're giving me isn't going to buy this house. You're going to continually have to give me money, and someday you'll own this house. Of course, they were glazed over, but I gave them, at that time, I think I worked for another big bank and we had giveaways. I gave them candy and koozies or whatever, but I was little squeezy balls. But it's just funny because on that level, you get a kid in the thing and you can just break it down. And even the parents are like, that's really smart. You don't really own the home until you've completely paid for it. I'm like, yeah, that's true. It's not really yours 100%. The bank has collateral in that. So yeah. How do you balance refinances? Obviously are huge right now. I still honestly have a lot of purchase business. I don't know about you, but I think next year, 2021, will be a big purchase year because we've done so much refinancing at such low loan rates. But how do you balance it right now and prioritize? Not that you don't want to give the best customer service to all clients, but obviously a purchase is a very important transaction. The guidelines are important. The contract extensions are super important because it's a seller's market and they can drop a contract if you don't meet that guideline. So how do we take care of that?
I think it's a really tough road. I think that honesty is the best medicine on this one. If we're just talking about this exact market, honesty is always paramount. But I would say that going in and definitely making a promise you're not going to deliver on is going to be the worst thing you could ever do. So I think just being as real as possible, letting people know what things you can control in the process and what things you can't control in the process so that they're clear in their expectation of, if you're the right fit. But purchases obviously take priority. They have dates, they have deadlines, they mean everything, and they're the longevity and the status. So like a couple months ago, I had my best purchase month ever, along with my best refi month. But the purchases went right to the top. They have to.
I'm always top
It's,
high in progress.
you know, it just, that's a no-brainer. I think everybody's gonna agree with me on that one, that
But
purchases.
how do you educate the realtor? 'Cause this is what I'm running
That's
into.
a tough.
The realtors are still, in my opinion, what I'm seeing is 30-day contracts.
Yeah.
And that's not always feasible right now. It's close in the wholesale industry, but I'm understanding on the retail, it's maybe a little bit longer. Can you set the expectation with the realtor up front, or some of them, just write the contract for 45 days? Or is it always going to be 30 days?
Depends on the property, right? So if they tell, my first question now, number one question, when they tell me they're gonna write an offer, I say, do you have competition? If you have no competition, then there should be no reason a realtor's gonna write a 30-day contract. Again, this is the conversation upfront, out the gate. Please don't ask me to close on a loan that's, you're the only game in town and the property's been on the market for 45 days, because we don't need to close in 30 days. And even though we could, we're going to set expectations and possibly fail. Now, for the ones that are competitive, now this is tough, right? This is really tough, especially in my market. My business is 80% DC and Montgomery County, Maryland. These properties are flying off the shelf.
Yeah, they are.
So the first piece is communicate with your borrower and say, if you're going to write this offer, then I need every single document in it, and I need it in the next 24 hours. Because if it's not in, we're not going to meet this deadline. The other piece is making sure that if there are deadlines, when you call the listing agent to say, hey, welcome to the transaction, I'm your loan originator, even though you're representing the seller, I just want to let you know, we are going to do everything in our power to meet your deadlines. If we need some help, we're gonna reach out, because we just have to be real. There's only so many staff. We're all working ridiculous hours. No one is sleeping anymore. And when they're trying to sleep, they can't sleep because they're worrying about their loans. And having those types of conversations, as soon as the contract comes across your desk, as soon as you see something that, when you reach out and tell collateral that they need to order the appraisal and they're like, this deadline is not gonna happen, don't let them know it's not gonna happen 3 days beforehand.
Right.
It needs to happen
communication
right out the gate. And you know what? The reason why I'm saying that is because I know I need to perfect that. I know that I'm still not knocking it out of the park on that piece. And that's something that, even though it takes extra time, it's more time up front, but then it's no fail, right? It's that feeling of epic fail when people start calling you for something that you could have worked on in the very early stages.
Yeah.
So again, there are going to be times where you're one of 7 offers and the sellers know it. And they're like, we want to close in 25 days right now in this industry. And they're going to take the other offer, and your agent's not going to want to hear that. And your buyers aren't going to want to hear that. So it's going to be that deeper conversation if you're going to go there, to make sure that you let your underwriting manager know this one's coming in. I mean, there's so many people you're going to have to get on the horn with or send an email to, but setting those expectations up front, I think, is going to be.
And communication is probably number one.
Yep.
Like the appraisers are taking longer, so you obviously have to follow up. And if you're not going to get the time frame that you're expecting for maybe the realtor and the borrower, you're going to have to let everybody know. And what I think Frankie's talking about is we're busy, right? So it's on your list. Call and let them know that, the appraisal is going to be potentially maybe a few days behind, and, we're all busy, but we have to do better at making that call so that the expectation is there. And we're not calling everybody at the end, just kind of going, it's not going to work out. We're going to need a few extra days. And then you're kind of begging, and it doesn't bode as well. I think if you're as much upfront as you could be in this environment, it's better, because everybody is busy. There's not one single area of the business. I will tell you, and this is just being real, and I think it's important to be real, because there's no benefit for us to sit here and do rose-colored glasses for you all day, because you're not going to learn anything different than what you're dealing with. Is everybody's edgy, right? I will tell you that I have a testimony. I've been at National City. God, I'm like losing my mind, going way back. I've been at Caliber for almost 10 years. And the one thing I saw was customer service. It's like, our customer service is so good. My team is so good. But you know what? Everybody's a little edgy. So it's not that I don't say our service is good. Our service is fantastic. But you have to also remember that the underwriters are getting hit by everybody for that one loan that that purchase loan that you're trying to do in 27 days, and you're not the only account executive, and there's 14 people and just my team filtering at this, handful of underwriters. So everybody's edgy, everybody's tired. So just, I think one of the biggest takeaways, as me, and I'm not pro here, Frankie is, but is kindness in these times. Because to really stop and remember that everybody from the receptionist to the underwriter, to the closer, to the realtor, to the borrower, everybody's being kind of, pushed and trying to meet these expectations in an environment that's virtually very impossible to do. So just try to be kind to everybody. I have to bite my tongue just like everybody else. I'm human. Underwriting's really hard right now. You want to call your underwriter friend and say, can you just clear that one thing? And we're being told, which I've never been told, you can't do that. And I'm like, wait, what? I can't do that. But, it's honestly, frankly, not fair. There's everybody else is just as important as your loan. So be the bigger salesperson and make that call and say, it's not going to happen today. Yeah. We can try to get it for you tomorrow, and just be real. And I think they'll appreciate that so much more than beating up everybody. And if you're on the sales side from an originating standpoint, you're dealing with wholesale lenders or whatever, try not to push as much. I mean, if you're getting heat, of course, you're going to put that heat on other people, but just try to also push back a little bit. Be comfortable with you're good enough at your job, and you're a good enough salesperson to say, you know what, how about we do it Friday? Wednesday is going to be a little tight, and give yourself that cushion, because you're still going to be a hero. It'd be great if it, and what if it got done Wednesday? Then great, you call everybody and you say it's a little earlier. But I think realistic expectations is the most important thing right now.
And if I could just trail onto that piece, which is this, and that is, right, it always takes a village. Yeah. So, where a lot of times I'm lucky enough to be the person who gets all the praise when everything goes well, I also should be the one that carries the shoulder and the brunt of it when things go bad, right? No way about it. But I will also say that the other piece that's so critical is you're only as good as your team. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you that my team has been through so much lately.
Agreed.
Not just with how busy we are. It's they have their own lives. I mean, we're all in this very unique time. And to give a human element and be so grateful to these people that are supporting you and believing in your mission. I mean, it's called the Frankie D team, but there are my production partner, Claudia, my processor, Becky. I mean, there are so many pieces to that part that, these women have been going, and now I have a couple other processors helping too, which has also made it all the more rewarding to just know that we are this village. Mm-hmm. We all are working toward a common goal, and that we have to lift each other up. There's none of this, we're just all trying to get
blame.
Yes.
Things are going to happen. Try not to place blame. Try to move forward when something does happen.
Positivity.
And one thing also you just said that just brought something to me is I have never in decades seen so much opportunity in the business, right? So if you're in a position, let's say you wanted to be an underwriter, you're not on the sales side, you're just here to hear from, professional women to get some information on the industry, and you want to further your career into underwriting or something in your processor. Back 5 years ago, you couldn't do that. People, or if you got out of the business for a little bit, say you were going to have children for a while, come back in, they was like, oh no, you don't know TRID, or you don't know, there was always this scarlet letter there. That's not today. People, if you are willing to work hard and you want to do this job, there's so much opportunity. We're seeing training going on. I'm seeing so much upward mobility within companies where I have not seen that in a long, long time. I love that about it. I see new people getting in. So that opportunity for growth, and if you do want to be a Frankie and be really aggressive in the sales, and you're in one of those jobs, you can do that. This is a great time to further your career. I mean, if you're not on this side of the career.
But in that also, I mean, you have to make sure that this career is the right career for you, because the other thing is to not love what you do. Mm-hmm. And that's going to never work for everybody. And it is going to be a cog in the wheel on the team, right? So the other piece is making sure that this job that you've decided, whether it be a loan originator or a mortgage planner or a production partner or a processor or pre-processor, whatever that is that, does it have a why for you, one? And two, is that even in these trying times, like why you're getting up every day is because of the commitment and whatever the responsibilities are for you. And that accountable moment. I mean, that was always the thing I always told my kids. Please, please, when somebody asks you something and you don't know the answer, please go tell that person, I do not know this answer right now, but I will get it for you. That's accountability. And that's what we all just need to be accountable for, what we bring to the table, you know?
And I think you have to really want to know if it's sustainable for you. I mean, it's something you want to do. It's hard work. I mean, I'm 34 years in this, and I've done everything in this career, and it's hard work, but the reward has always been there for me. So if you're willing to work hard, as Frankie said, you've got to find a why, so why you want to do this, and then just work hard, and you will 100% be successful.
Because burnout is happening.
Of course.
And so if you were going to be burned out and you don't have the why, it's going to be so hard.
That was perfect segue. We're like feeding off each other. I love this. So perfect. Burnout. I definitely had burnout about a month ago, really bad. And I don't burn out easy. I was doing 16-hour days easy all the time, and I was fine. I'm definitely type A, very driven. I can do all the things, and I don't have kids at home anymore. So this was a great time for me. I'm like, I can do this. But even our types of personalities get burnout. You know, there's a lot of negativity, a lot of not met expectations that you get disappointed in. So just make sure you're taking a wellness check. Make sure you're taking care of yourself right now. Make sure you are spending some downtime. It's hard. We can't get out with our friends and family and our loved ones the way we want to, but take that walk. My daughter's here right now, staying with me for a while from Ohio. We're when it's not raining, taking walks. We're working out in the morning at 6:30. It's
Nice.
those things that kind of give you that endorphin that you need to get through these kind of days. And it's in all industries, not just ours. A lot of people are going through this.
Some people I mean, it's not just mortgages. I'm hearing from my clients who do things that I would never think, why is that industry busy? And they're like, I've never been busier.
And then have empathy for the people that maybe are your borrowers that are, we're really having to collaborate to figure out a way to make this loan work because they are having those challenges from not working or having a forbearance for the last 3 to 6 months and trying to pick up those pieces.
We're self-employed.
Helping them out, like trying to squeeze income out of somebody self-employed that maybe their income is down and we're, having to really figure out a way to make sure we can help them out so that we can secure a cheaper loan for them if it's refinancing. So we can better their lives. So that's kind of what we're here for.
Yeah, and it is that balance that's so hard to come up with. And, it's funny because my wife's a professor and, she's on sabbatical this year. And of course, we had great things planned, travel, what are we going to do next? This will be great. Hopefully I won't have busy here. Maybe I can enjoy some of your sabbatical with you. Well, of course, these were 2 different shifts, right? On top of COVID here, she had time. I'm working busy more hours than I've ever worked in my lifetime. And that was tough. And so last night.
You teach her mortgage banking.
And actually, that's one of the reasons why we have the balance, because it would be something she would never want to do. Right. But that being said, I want to just say something that happened last night. So I'm upstairs working, and we're planning to go see our kids in California. And she says to me, I need to talk to you. And I was like, oh, in the middle of this deal, I got to come downstairs. I go, yeah. And she's like, we got to balance this. And so I sat down with her, and it was a really heartfelt conversation. We're trying something new. Again, I'm just giving you all the human pieces to this, okay?
This is awesome.
We decided that starting on Friday, we're going to write down on the refrigerator 8 activities, and we're going to try to pick 3 in a calendar month that are safe, that we can do together to get back balance, because you shouldn't work all this time and then never be able to enjoy it. I'm finding the only way to get a little balance right now, it's going to sound crazy. I actually take a half an hour a day and I play with my dog in the middle of the day. Just rub on him, snuggle him, because he's so freaking cute. I can't stand it. I adore this dog. I love my kitty too. She's always out and about. It's hard to track her down, but the dog's older, and I will tell you that releases something in me.
You need to.
It makes me feel, because my wife is usually either on campus or doing her thing, but I will say this, that whatever that little thing is, for me, it's the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, find it, give yourself permission to take a minute. You'll be no good to anyone if you don't give yourself that time.
Yep, I agree. I'm trying to do the same.
Yeah.
Trying to find those nuggets. I'm gonna have a grandbaby today or tomorrow, so that's gonna be my new
I
nugget.
know.
I'm gonna go play with the baby, but wait, I've been trying to, my husband does miss the cooking. He just recently retired, and I've been trying to go in at night when they start to cook dinner, because my daughter likes to cook too, and she's here, and try to get myself involved in that. Not just sit at my desk, which is what I normally do, until they say dinner's at the table, and then I segue out, eat my dinner, and then go back to the couch, bring my laptop with me and keep working. I've been trying to at least I still take my laptop to the couch, because you need to get the work done, right? But I take that time while they're preparing dinner and while we sit down to dinner to actually not be engaged in work activities. I get phone calls. Last night I got a phone call in the middle of dinner, and I had the broker on speaker, and they were laughing because he was up in arms about something, and I had to deal with it. But I'm not going to ignore people totally. I don't do the no phone rule. Maybe that would be a next step of best practices, but I will take my calls and stuff if they come through. But if you can just, those little nuggets,
Little pieces,
Mhm.
little pieces, they really
Just
are important. And I think that, the other thing is, it's not just affecting you, right? It's not affecting you because you're not resting, you're not sleeping, it's affecting the people that you love most.
Yeah.
And so,
That's important.
that's important, because then they're not happy. You're not happy because you're overworked. They're not understanding. You have to have this, again, it goes back to almost like the mortgage, and the
Mhm.
communication there is equally important as the communication that you're having at home. And I think that's one of the beauties of this organization, that a lot of the women out there that are in the mortgage industry are often also juggling multiple jobs right now. Kids are homeschooled.
Mhm. I don't know how they do that. I really don't.
I couldn't.
I don't know how they do it. One thing, I'm going to let you guys ask questions now, because we first, when we started, we both said we're never going to be able to talk for an hour. Obviously we can. But the question I have that I just was thinking, and I didn't ask you, was, what do you think sets you apart? What got you to that? I don't know what your numbers are. I don't know, how much business you actually do or have done over the years, but I do know it's a lot. Well, I mean, did you start out just doing a ton because you're that that hard of a worker? Or what do you think really is a great building block? Or if you're in somebody's shoes that's watching, that wants to get to that next level, wants to be that champion originator, what's the practice, like maybe a couple principles and practices that would get them there?
I think everybody's going to find their own unique one. My drive is pretty insane.
That's
So
hard work.
it's the drive that I have. I love it.
Important.
Right? So because I love it, the drive seems easy to me.
Mhm.
Because I actually love looking at homes, even though I'm not a realtor, I still love engaging in those pieces. So it's the human connection. I could go on and on about like the one thing, and it's not one. It's
Right.
so many. But I will say that what I feel was my aha moment was when, again, the support here at Apex said, you need more help.
Mhm.
And I was able to bring on a production partner, Claudia, who has helped me immensely. I could never hit my numbers. And we were really lucky. We did, get over 100 million already this year. So
That's
I feel
crazy.
so grateful. I wish I could. So if you're out there listening, I'm bringing more people on. If anybody's listening out there, give me a call.
I
Shout
can
me
use some
out.
help too.
No. But that would be something I would say is the drive
Mhm.
and the want to. I don't want to say I'm never going to be self-actualized to be.
Mhm.
I'm going to be the best I can be, but I do like that kind of competition drive a lot.
I'm definitely competitive. I think that's number one.
Oh yeah.
But number two, hands down, every successful originator that I deal with is the hardest working people I know. Like, honestly, I can, in my head right now, go to my top 3 brokers, hard working, all 3 of them. Just,
Oh, and how about
Crazy.
not giving up? Like that's probably a fault though too, right? So like
Mhm.
I hate giving up on something that might not go through. I dig my heels a little bit. And eventually you do have to know when it's time to throw in the towel and make sure again that you're really clear and communicate that I got to throw in the towel on this one. I've tried everything.
But if you're good and you do your research, you can win somebody over that way. I'm good at that too.
Yeah, and I will also say that it seems like, when we keep talking, we're talking about drive and how people have to be good with people and sales and everything. Some of the best originators I know are just so smart and read so much about the guidelines. I think of a couple fellas here at Apex that I wouldn't say like, oh, bring this guy to the party. He's going to talk your ear off. but
No.
boy, does he know his stuff.
I have a couple competitors like that I will actually tell my customers, because that's the other thing. Don't ever be afraid to have faith in your competitors. It's a wonderful resource. The MMBBA, there's such involvement. Like I said, I just finished my presidency with there. I've met so many incredible people that I knew of, but now I have great rapport with. Those are resources for you. It's not as competitive as you think. There's plenty of business for everybody, but how cool is it if you knew people that are as educated, or maybe some areas have a little bit more education that you can use as a resource if you're stuck on something, or you don't be afraid to call your friend at a different mortgage company to ask a question. I mean, that's industry shouldn't be that way. And we don't fester that at MMBBA. It's the exact opposite. So use it as partnerships. I mean, they're your resources, your connections, your leads, your buyers. They're not trying to steal your buyers. They're going to help you. You may have a deal that you can't do that you refer to them, and vice versa. It can be a very good business relationship as well. So I always encourage that. I think that's a great tool within the
Build
industry.
up your team, build up your team, build up those underwriters. Build up those underwriters, build up they're working so hard.
And
The
don't be afraid to do
processors,
the work.
You
Like
know,
I see
give
your
them a
team.
hand.
Give them a hand. Roll
hand.
your sleeves up.
Roll your sleeves up. You remember what it was like to go.
I'm running
grab
DUs.
something.
I'm doing my old processing days.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy it.
Give a hand and thank people. Oh my gosh, how about that one? Just really thank everybody, because
Be kind and think.
Yeah.
Thank people, be grateful, be gracious. Try not to we all get frustrated. Try not to use your words. But why don't you guys give us some questions? If you wouldn't mind, Amanda, unmuting everybody and see if anybody has anything they'd like to ask Frankie. We're ready for you.
Frankie,
Yes.
I have a question. You talked about drive, and I wanted to know, can you make that more tactical? What does that look like? So what's the day in the life of Frankie like? How are you going about, maintaining your momentum, getting business? How are you sharing tasks? I know you have a sales assistant, things of that nature.
Christine?
A lot of it. I think for me, the drive always looks like organization first, because then I really know what, so I tried the night before to put a list of my chopping block items. That's what I call them, right? Like the items that I have to tackle. Again, I could just say so many sayings that I've learned over the years. Like if you're going to eat the frog and you have something that's hard to deliver, do it right away. Get it out of the way so you can get back to the chopping block. But this drive piece is really being as organized as possible, knowing what items are important that must take priority, knock them out so that then you can get to your next items. So I think that helps to get to the drive, because you start picking up this momentum and you feel like, I got that one done. I got that one done. I don't know if you ever grew up with lists, but I'm a big list person. I love scratching it off and saying, I did that, I did that, I did that. And even if I might have missed something still, you can look at that list. And I feel like the drive comes from that, but also the drive comes from the fact that I love it. Like I love what I do. It's not like I wake up and go, ugh, I got to talk to another client today. I could talk to people all day long. I mean, I think you're kind of grasping that piece from me.
I mean, we're dating ourselves a little with the list. I rewrite my list too. Like I write them and I cross them up and rewrite them. Which you really should probably use your computer.
You should. I know. I'm not great with the whole tree
your
thing.
notes and your phone.
Yeah, I'm trying. I do try, but I like to see it on paper often.
I still print things.
Yeah.
It's a bad habit.
But what about, I mean, right back at you, do you know where your drive is?
Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I think that my drive comes too because I like the customer interaction. I like knowing that they're satisfied. I'm a big problem solver and a resolution person. So if you come to me with something, I'm very process oriented from my prior background. So I think that is it. It's kind of like that strategy and how do I get from point A to point B. But I was just wondering, like, is there anything that you do like every Monday morning? I know you say you plan every night for the next day. So that's time management.
It's time management. I do want to get to making video calls once a week. There's someone here on staff here, Larry, who is amazing because of how busy everybody is right now. Without fail, every week he's getting out to every single one of his customers and saying, hey, listen, I just want to let you know, I know it's been quiet, your refinance is happening, but this is just a friendly check-in. And then he hits send, it's a video chat. And even though people are waiting, they feel that comfort. So again, find what your items are that you need to knock out and time block for those. I think that would be amazing if you could, you know, hold in on that.
And how about the video chatting or the video sending to maybe some of your potential realtors that you're not getting a lot of business from, if you're, you know, we're inundated with refis and stuff, just to stay engaged because we're going to be there, right? And if you took that extra step, you know, this industry tends to be a little bit aged in the sense that I think the average age is 58, something like that. So if you're going to stay progressive and learn those skill sets, I think you'll stay really in good standing for the coming year, because I think we're definitely going to be in a purchase market. So don't forget those people that.
But if you are new to origination, also a good little tidbit is also to kind of know when a deal is, especially right now in this environment, you really have to hone in on when you know that you're taking an application that's going to have a lot of problems, and maybe setting up the expectation even then, as hard as it will be, because you are driven and you are a problem solver. And I love to hear you're a problem solver. I love to solve problems, but there might be times when you can't solve the problem. And you're also going to have to be cognizant of that and know when that is. Because the worst thing to do is keep a dead deal alive when it's dead.
Yeah, I hate that, but it happens. Yeah. Anybody else? Do you have any more? No?
Okay.
Well, you guys can just run out and just be successful, right? More successful than you already are.
I know.
Well, thank you. This has been great.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
A little roasting from the fire, but it's been a pleasure. I really have enjoyed it. I'm excited I get to go home and wait for baby. Frankie gets to get back to, I'm sure, a very, very busy day in the mortgage industry. Me too. I'm just kidding myself, but hopefully at some point I'll get to see the grandbaby today or tomorrow. But thank you all so much for your time. Thank you for from MMBBA for putting this on for us in the PMW group. Janet,
It was an honor.
Crystal, all you ladies who Sandra helped out, and Janet, you guys are great. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you so much.